This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to ACABOR meeting of December the 3rd. It's the 3rd. Shirley, would you be able to lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Shirley. All right. Quick little ground rules. As we go through, we'll go through each applicant. Applicants will have an opportunity to explain the project, what they're doing. We will, during that period, have everybody muted. So if you could mute yourself, that would be great. And then after the applicant's done with their presentation, we'll open up to questions to the board. The board will ask any questions, make any comments that they have. We will then do a public comment period. And during public comment, please make sure you direct your questions, comments to the board, not to the applicant. And then, when we're doing that, we expect everybody to be on mute. We'll unmute the individuals that are, speaking. It would be great if you put it in the chat that you're looking to make a comment, but if not, we will unmute everybody and give everybody a chance to just chime in. So with that, do a quick roll call of the board members here. Myself, Chris Dunnigan is here. Shirley?
Here.
Brian?
Here.
Joe?
Here.
Debbie? Debbie, I see you on mute.
Sorry about that. Here.
Thank you. And Sharon?
Here.
And it looks like Kenyatta is the only person missing this evening. We'll see if she comes in later. All right. With that, let's start off. We've got a continuance of Orangetown Shopping Center electrical charging station. Lauren, will you be the one taking us through that?
Yes, sir.
Would you like me? Do you have anything to share? You want to be presenter or?
Yeah. Can I share my screen, please?
Yes, you can. There you go.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start with sharing the overall site plan. So one of the issues we talked about at the last meeting was the location of the chargers. So I'll start there. We went back to UBP, the site host, and discussed moving the charger locations with them. And they explained that this location is what it is based on any future expansions of this building. And because they need tenant approval from the major tenants in the shopping center to do anything like that. And they didn't think that the tenants would be open to the relocation of the chargers. So in order to soften up the look, we've added plantings all the way down this landscape island and also along in this area. And I know there was also some concern before that it was hard to see what we were doing. So we provided some view sheds. So these are the arborvitae, which are basically like Christmas trees. And we also have proposed these flowering bushes as well. So here's some view sheds. Oh, well, I'm sorry, here. The first pictures are photos of completed sites that we've just completed in other parts of the country. And that's because in Photoshop, sometimes things look a little bit distorted. So I wanted you guys to get the best view of what we were proposing possible. So this is the view of the Trex fence enclosure. And then this is a view of an end zone layout in Medford, New York, that's just constructed, I think just over a month ago. And then so here are some photo view sheds for you that we've created. So this is as you're driving up into the shopping center. So we've planted some of the evergreen trees and some bushes down below. And then this is from the side, just another view there. And then, so this is from behind the chargers. So once again, as you're driving up the road, we've planted those shrubs behind the chargers just to shield them and give them a softer look. And then this is the view of the equipment pad from inside the parking lot. And then the view looking directly at the chargers. So we also will have any of the internal lighting turned off and have proposed a light pole here in the middle that will make sure these chargers are lit. So if anybody's using them at night, it's a safety issue so that they can see what they're doing and are just well lit. So I will open it up for any questions that the board might have.
Thank you. Two quick questions that I have. One is, where do the rhododendrons where are they going? Actually, if you flip it, they're on the back there. Okay. Yep.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. And then second, the light pole that you guys are putting up is, I assume, is similar as possible to existing light poles in that parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then that was the two questions that I had in mind. I'll open it up to the rest of the board. Shirley, any feedback, comments, questions?
No, I think it looks very nice, and it's a nice improvement from the last one.
Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just looking at how big are these arborvitae's going to get? You know, wide are these? I mean, there's just no space there. They're going to grow right into the machines.
So there's about 3.5 feet there, which is basically the minimum an arborvitae needs.
No, I'm saying, but the arborvitae will grow with time.
Yes, I mean, the arborvitae's will have to be well maintained.
Mm-hmm. All right, I guess that's the only comment I had.
Joe, anything from you?
No, I think it looks much nicer than the first presentation, but she just said that the shrubs will have to be well maintained. Will they be maintained by the shopping center or by her company?
By the shopping center.
Okay.
Debbie?
I wanted to start by saying thank you for taking the time and understanding what the board was saying to you about the appearance. I think this is 1,000% better than what was presented at first. I'm not worried about the size of the trees. I think, you know, a good trimming, all things that are green need to be trimmed back is very easy to accommodate. So I'm fine with the way the trees are, and if they grow into each other and create a natural barrier, I like it all the more. So again, thanks for doing this. It looks great.
Mm-hmm.
And Sharon?
I do think that it's an improvement. It just doesn't look like a professionally landscaped plan to me. I do think that it probably could be better with a little bit of variation in terms of what's there. But I do agree that it's 100% better than it was.
Yeah, so I mean, we are limited by space, and I wanted to make sure that the things there were tall and screening, so that's why we chose the arborvitae's. And if we had more than 3.5 feet, there would be some shrubs. There's just no space for that. So
Yeah.
So Sharon,
On the other side, right in front of the arborvitae's, it looks like there's so many of them that, I mean, that it looks awkward to me.
Yeah,
I agree.
Very
So it's done in
plants there. I
Photoshop.
think it could look better.
This is also done in Photoshop, so it's just supposed to be an artistic rendering of what will be there. So Photoshop has its limitations.
well, you're proposing to put small bushes in front of arborvitae, and it's going to look basically just like you showed. I mean, I kind of thought the same thing, that the other side, not this, but the screening in front of the retaining wall was just kind of not very creative. You know, it's I think like Sharon, you're saying, you know, like I was thinking when I saw this too, like maybe you had 2 or 3 different kinds of lower bushes, kind of creating a little bit more texture in front of the arborvitae, as opposed to a line of pom-poms sitting at the base of a line of arborvitae.
Exactly. It doesn't really look like a professional plan to me. I mean, later on this evening, we've got plans that we're looking at for a subdivision, and you can tell that it's professionally designed. There's varied plants going in. And like I said, thank you. You know, I understand this is a huge improvement from where we were. But I also think that this is an opportunity. You guys are spending a good amount of money to put landscaping in here. You know, let's make sure it's well thought out and, you know, make it as nice as we can with the money that you're spending.
Understood.
So to kind of follow up with what Brian and Sharon have said, I think what you've done here, and I like Debbie too, I appreciate you actually going through the effort to do this. This is good. I do think the arborvitae choice and the way it's laid out probably needs a little bit more thought. Those trees will grow easily 8 feet wide and 30 foot high. So while they need pruning, they need a whole lot of pruning. So I don't know if there's another consideration there, but and nothing comes off the top of my head as a recommendation.
Yeah, I'm not a landscape architect. I'm an engineer. So I went with the recommendation of our landscape architect here. So
Comment, Chris. Chris, I have a comment.
Go ahead. Yep.
The arborvitaes you're talking about for size are the green giants. And these are green, emerald greens. I have them outside my house. Yes, they get wider, but not 8 feet wide.
No, okay.
Or like 4. And they grow thinner than the green giants. So
They're not as
have
wide.
Okay.
a color look.
Okay. So then that might work the way they've got it here. Okay, that's fair.
Chris, can I just add back into this?
Yeah.
The shopping center was one that we worked on our board a short while ago. They had come to us with some landscaping proposals and the changes that they made because that's all new. Unfortunately, if you see what's there, this shopping center has not been really good with the upkeep of the center itself. There are trash cans that don't have lids on them and trash is spewed all over the place. We've tried through the town, through Teresa Kenny's office, to get this landlord to comply with cleaning up this parking lot, putting lids on trash cans, putting some mulch down. So they really haven't been very responsible. So anything that needs less maintenance, even these other shrubs in the front, things that don't need as much trimming would probably be preferable because we're not having a great success rate with them as it is now. I've been working with the superintendent's office, try to get these people Joe knows to comply, and they just haven't. So the lower the maintenance, the better it's going to appear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I'm a little less concerned if they are the narrower version of this. But yeah, I agree with you, Debbie. That's a very good point.
Sharon, she's right about this, that these are those kinds of plants. They just don't grow to the magnitude that Shirley's right. These won't be as dense.
But it will provide immediate screening, which I know is
Right.
a concern.
Right.
All right. Any other thoughts from the board before we open up to hear what the public has to say, if there's any comments? Okay.
Well, I mean,
Yep. Go ahead, Brian.
the arborvitae, you know, the trimming and all, I thought that was okay. Up on the narrow strip, there are not a lot of things you can do with that space.
Mhm.
On this side, I look at it and, to make a wall of green with these white, which I guess they're green and just white when they flower, right? The rhododendron
Mhm.
at the base. I mean, I don't know, this same kind of treatment as a wall of green on this area, if you had a variety of, if you had a variety of things, including a couple of trees that will be, kind of with a canopy a bit and would grow, and would create, like, again, a thought out landscape design that doesn't completely cover the thing behind it, but softens it and makes a nice planting in front. This to me is not a particularly nice planting. It's just so rigid, stuck together in there. It's there's no, I don't know. Look at the landscaping around it and the planting and the trees with this. I don't know. I mean, I'd almost look like and say put a tree on the right outside corner, put another smaller tree out front a little bit, and maybe 2 or 3 trees, and then some whether they're arborvitae or something else that's a little bit sort of mid-height, and then some smaller grasses and rhododendron, something that's got a little bit more of a design to it that sort of feels a little bit more natural, rather than just we bought enough of these plants that we can cover the whole thing with a wall of plants. I have that problem with a lot of arborvitae that we're seeing put in. Just, that's just my thought. I don't know if anybody else feels that way.
I mean, I definitely agree. I understand on the other side, just being able to have the, all the arborvitaes, but I think that we need more work here. More thought, more design.
It is pretty visually prominent from Orangeburg Road and coming up into this piece. So the first thing you see.
So I'm going to open it up to the public here. Then we'll come back and I'll have a question for the board. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? If so, please unmute yourself and state your name. Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. So just a quick poll the board here. So Brian and Sharon, it sounds like you guys would like to see some a little bit more improvement, especially in this section, a little bit more thought to that area and surrounding landscapes. Going backwards, Debbie, do you agree with that?
Listen, I'm really thrilled that the board is enjoying the change, because I felt at first that they didn't think it needed any reconciling for aesthetics. So I was pleasantly pleased to see what I see. If we can still tweak it, and Brian, if you have any ideas of other trees that you'd like, I mean, let's help them out. Let's give them some thought. I can't think of anything. And again, like she's not an architect, a landscape architect. I don't know what else to recommend, but I'm going to go with if they can come up with something
Do you have
better.
landscape architects, Debbie, that can tweak some plans? I just can't.
I'd be very happy to help you to get one. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. Those of us that are in real estate might have some contacts, Sharon and Kenyatta and myself. We'd be more than happy to help you out. I'm just saying that, I'm all for just keep improving it until we're all very happy. But I'm also very thankful that you've taken this as far as you have. And I'm very glad that the board's on board. So let's see what we could do.
So,
I have a suggestion.
Go ahead, Shirley. Yeah.
If you want to consider putting in some spirea that grows easily, it doesn't take much maintenance at all. And you could alternate those in with the little rhododendrons. And I don't know, I'm not that familiar with that particular rhododendron to know how large that gets when it grows. But there are quite a number of them all together. If that's your real number, it's kind of crowded. But spirea would definitely break it up. It's not white. You can get pink or redder colors. And it's very hardy.
That's a good point. I mean, so I guess, Lauren, I think the front part, the driveway area. Oh, Joe, I'm sorry. Before I go there, Miss Joe here. Any thoughts? I mean, are you content with this?
No,
Like,
I'm not an arborist, so I don't
okay.
know what would really go. I don't know if trees are the way to go, because as a tree grows, the bottom's going to be exposed again, and then you're going to see.
I think that, yeah, I think there's some thought there around the layering that Brian mentioned with the different grasses and things like that, but that's a good point too. So I guess, Lauren, my question to you, it sounds like what we're saying is up the driveway where the charging units are is good, right? You guys did what you could do with the space that you've got. And we thank you for that, certainly. But is there an opportunity for you to go back and see if there's something a little bit more creative to do with this back section that, like Brian said, is the first thing people are going to see when they go up Orangeburg Road and come up into this?
Yes, there definitely is. Is there also an opportunity for it to be a condition of approval, or is that a not possible?
It's hard to make it a condition without knowing what it is, right?
Right.
Without,
Yeah.
If we could tell you, put a spirea here, maple tree here, oak tree there, some ornamental grass there, that would be one thing. And I don't think, we're to that point yet. I think you probably need somebody to look at that area and come up with something that works.
Chris, can I offer myself to Lauren, and if she'd like to contact me, I can help put her in touch with someone?
I think you have to be careful there. I would like them to find their own.
Okay,
In terms of finding a landscape architect to talk to.
okay.
So Lauren, so that's up to you. I mean, in a sense, you can take that back and say, okay, we're gonna go back, look at this, and then come back at our next meeting and ask for a continuance for that. Or you can say, no, this is what you guys are we have, and we'll vote. It's up to you on this one.
Okay, so when is the next meeting?
Cheryl?
The next meeting is January 7th.
Okay, can I have a continuance to the January hearing?
Yes, thank you, Lauren. I again appreciate the effort here in doing this. This is very much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Right. All right. Before we get to our next application, just want to add for the record, Kenyatta has joined us past the technical difficulties of GoToMeeting. They plague all of us. So
Thank you for your help.
anytime. All right, up next, we've got the Amazon sign plan. Believe. We've got Brian O'Connor.
Good evening.
Good evening. You there, Brian?
Yes, I am. Sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
So I'm here representing Amazon tonight. They are requesting sign plan approval for their new facility located at 400 Orangetown Drive. They are going to be occupying approximately 125,000 square feet of a 200,000 square foot building. And the request is for 5 signs. The first sign is located on the southeast elevation of the building. And that is the elevation that you see as you're driving down Bradley Hill Road, crossing over the railroad tracks. That sign is visible for the truck drivers and that are coming into the facility, as well as all the customers, identifying that that is the Amazon property. And then there are going to be 4 additional signs on the northeast elevation of the building, which is the back side of the building. One is to read Amazon Hub. That identifies the hub part of the building as opposed to the delivery side where the truck drivers go to, and as well as identifying the doorways for the associates, for the employees, as well as the customers for pickup and returns. These signs have been reviewed by the County of Rockland Planning Department and received their approval. We've also appeared in front of the Town Zoning Board of Appeals, and we received approval for the signs from the Zoning Board of Appeals with 2 conditions. The first condition had to deal with, actually both conditions had to deal with the Amazon Hub sign, which is on the back side of the property. The request was, instead of that being a face lit channel letter, that sign would be a halo lit letter, so that it wouldn't be quite as bright as it does adjoin the property owners on the backside, the homeowners. So it wouldn't be quite as bright. It wouldn't be as stark. And the other condition was that sign be turned off an hour after the customer service portion of the business closes.
I'll ask just while it's there, what time does it close?
It varies different times of the year. I'm not 100% sure what is the timeline that it's going to close from month to month.
Okay. And the signs below the Amazon Hub sign, the package pickup returns customer service, those are not illuminated at all, correct?
Those are non-illuminated. Those are acrylic letters, correct?
Open it up to the rest of the board. Shirley, any questions, comments?
No, I think the questions were answered by the other board about the light, how much light, and how long it was operating. So I'm fine with it.
Brian?
No, I'm fine with it.
Joe?
No.
Debbie?
I'm fine with it too.
Sharon?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
And Kenyatta?
No questions, no comments.
I appreciate, Brian, the heading off the question of the lighting and you guys and the applicant being flexible there. Thank you for that. Quickly open it up to the public. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? If so, please unmute yourself, I'm sorry. Seeing none, hearing none, public portion is closed. All right. Do we have a motion to approve as presented?
I will make a motion to approve as presented.
Do you have a second?
I'll second. Brian.
Brian seconded. Do a roll call. Myself, yes. Shirley?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Yada?
Yes.
All right. You're all set. Thank you, guys. Good luck with the signs.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, up next, we've got the Sweet Life. And I believe we have Lou here. I won't try and pronounce your last name. Go ahead, tell us about it.
Okay. Similar to my last 5 appearances before the board, I'm requesting approval for a new sign insert for my new tenant, which is called the Sweet Shop or something like that. This is a much needed business in Lawveld. I hope you will approve this beautiful sign.
And I'll start with the quick standard questions.
Yeah.
Existing box is there. The lighting is as normal. The only thing we're changing is the acrylic sign, correct?
Exactly. All of this, the 16 stores have the same exact sign box, same dimensions, same style, just changing the acrylic.
And you've got the pylon insert here, which is just going to be black letters on a white background.
Yes.
Right. I'll open up the board. Shirley, any questions, thoughts?
Nope.
Brian,
No,
Joe,
No,
Debbie,
No,
Sharon?
So I'm okay with the sign, but one thing I did notice when I was there is that there's a lot of window signage that is just making the area not really that attractive. Especially the window signage in dark paper. I don't know, it just feels like the whole shopping center is not presenting itself as well as it used to be.
All right. Well, that's, can't argue with you. That's an aesthetic judgment. And I really, my philosophy, my management philosophy is to be hands-off as long as nobody is doing something that's obviously grotesque or illegal, for sure. So I haven't made, I could make a recommendation to him that one of the board members has suggested that he tone it down a bit or something like that. Or if you want to make a more concrete suggestion, I'll pass it along to him.
It sounds like it's just a general, keeping honest here, Sharon, point about the complex itself, and that just as you as landlord, owner, beneficial, if there's a tenant that's got a lot of stuff in the windows that may not look great, talk to them and see if there's an alternative approach, right?
Also, it's not just the Darth Vapor, not just the vape shop. The other, you notice that on the other stores also, more lettering, or is that?
I just feel that some of the windows are very busy. There's just a lot of call outs in them, and it just makes it less attractive.
All right, I'll mention it to the tenants that have a lot of stuff going on there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Kenyatta, any questions, comments?
No.
All right. We'll do open up for public comment. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? If so, please unmute yourself and say your name. Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. I will make a motion to approve the application as presented. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion. Joe?
Second from Joe. Roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley,
Yes.
Brian,
yes,
Joe,
Yes.
Debbie,
yes,
Sharon,
Yes.
Kenyatta.
Yes.
All right, you're all set.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Thank you. Have a nice weekend, everyone. Thank you.
Up next is 119 Tweed Boulevard. We have, for this, I see John Atzel is here, but I don't see him in the lobby. Mr. Nasher, you're going to present for us. Go ahead.
Good evening. This is Ryan Nasher from Atzel, Nasher, and Ziegler. We are the engineers and the surveyor for the project. Tonight, we're presenting 119 Tweed Boulevard. The project is located on the east side on Tweed Boulevard, the opposite of Nike Lane at 119 Tweed Boulevard. It's the existing single-family dwelling. The site is proposed to replace an existing wall because it's an existing wall. The materials is railroad tie, and it's really a poor condition. It's about to collapse. We submitted the picture of the existing retaining wall, and I would like to request the board to present the picture, if we could show.
Yeah, do you want me to make you presenter?
Do you?
We've
but
got
I have
it.
a hard copy over here.
Like that's the best
Yes.
I can do from a
Yes, that is correct.
perspective.
So, so we prepared the retaining wall design. The proposed wall is Gabion basket wall, and we received the site plan approval from the planning board. Is on October 14. Then the project went through the site plan approval. Is one of the conditions it has to go through for the ACABOR for looking at the landscaping plan. The site doesn't propose any building. It's a replacement of an existing wall that's in a poor condition, and this is an emergency repair. And especially the location of the proposed wall, we don't have enough room to really accommodate for any kind of landscaping or anything. The proposed wall, the top of the proposed wall and the property line, we have almost no room. On the base is a 6 feet wide. As it go up, is a 3 feet wide, and all we have 3 feet room, 2 foot for any kind of vegetation. So we propose a grass vegetation, and down to the east side, the slope we stabilize with a riprap to make sure that it's stable, and we put also the guide rail by the proposed retaining wall, and top we put also chain link fence for the safety. So tonight I'm requesting the board to waiver for the landscaping is because it's not impacting anything. We are really replacing the existing wall with a proposed wall, and that wall was designed per the code, and it really doesn't have any room to fit in for any kind of landscaping, and it's not impacting any neighbor property or any view. So I would like to request board to consider for the waiver for the landscaping.
Okay. So first thing that, before I forget it, you mentioned a chain link fence. However, the plan that you've got here shows an aluminum fence. Aluminum fence. Is that a change from what you're expecting? Or are you also expecting?
The chain link fence was there, and there is no changes there. It's been there.
Right. I guess so. So I'm looking at drawing number 4, and on top of the Gibeon wall, it calls for an aluminum fence, and then there's an inset fence detail showing what that fence is going to be. Is that the fence you're talking about, or are you talking about a completely different fence?
No, you're right. I'm talking about the 4 feet high. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I said chain link fence, but it's going to be aluminum fence. I apologize. Yes,
Okay.
I'm referring to the same fence that's gonna be installed on top of the gabion wall. Yes.
Got it.
Sorry about it.
That's okay. All right, that was the one question I had. I'll open up questions to the rest of the board. Shirley, any questions, comments?
No,
Brian, any questions, comments?
No.
Joe,
No.
Debbie,
No.
Karen,
No.
Kenyatta?
No.
All right, we'll open it up to the public. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? If so, please unmute yourself and state your name. Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. Brian, I want to ask one quick question as I was thinking. Are you at the plans that we've got are what you guys are asking us to approve, correct? What we've seen? There's not changes. Okay. Because what I wanted to make sure is that when you said to approve not doing the landscaping, I wanted to make sure there wasn't a change to the plan. So we can approve what's here in front of us. Got it. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
I'll make that motion to approve.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Sharon. We'll do a roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley?
yes,
Brian?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
And Kenyatta?
Yes.
All right. You're all set, Ryan. You're good to go. Good luck with the wall.
Thank you.
All right. Up next is SMK Green Subdivision. Who do we have? We have Sean Keenan and Jay. Who's going to be presenting? I see you here, Jay.
Okay, brief introduction. This is a
It-
5-lot subdivision.
Can you speak up a little bit? You're very, very faint.
Okay, is this better?
Not next. I guess I'm after this.
Much better.
Okay. This is a 5-lot subdivision, and it has 3 frontages: Green Road, Western Highway, and Independence Avenue. And I think because of that, the planning board had been a little more proactive than normal. Usually a subdivision would come before you and basically just show what trees are being removed. But in this case, the planning board wanted a more detailed landscaping plan. So the applicant, Mr. Keenan, went to the landscape architect and really, rather than waste time preparing some broad brush approach, we sat down and really figured out what they want to do with each of these lots, prepared a master plan showing all 5 lots together, and then individual color copies of each of the individual pieces separated out. And they try the rationale here is to follow this as much as possible. Although these are generic houses, there really isn't much more latitude to make the houses any bigger. This is basically what it's going to look like. And so we thought maybe kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You know, here we're asking for your approval for the subdivision, but you're going to get another crack at us because we're going to have to come back for each individual lot for a public hearing.
Okay, so just to be clear, so we're looking at the subdivision, and additionally, the landscaping that they provided for the subdivision is what we're looking at. Or are you saying you guys are going to come back for the landscaping later?
we have to come back for each individual lot at the time for ACABOR approval for the house and the landscaping. And we're going to try and follow this plan as much as possible when we come back to you for the house itself, for the site plan.
Perfect. You know, this is so I've got one quick question as I looked at this kind of master plan that you guys had here, which is, you know, the way these houses are oriented. There's a lot of backyards, some looking at kind of into each other, and then also backyards looking into side yards. What's the approach from a whole subdivision to kind of break these houses and give people privacy and in their backyards? Is there a central plan there, or from looking at this, it looks like you're going to keep some trees and have them remain, but there's going to be a lot of grass too.
There is, and it's really mostly just the one lot in the middle that's going to be a little more exposed than the rest. I mean, I guess each individual homeowner has the option of putting in some fencing or some additional planting, but there are quite a bit of trees in the central portion that are remaining. For instance, between lots 3 and 4, the flag lot there are a number of existing trees, all of which are staying. I count like about 15. I guess it is a little barren between lot 2's backyard and possibly between lot 5 and lot 4. I mean, we could shift around some of the plantings when we come back to you, but that's something we can certainly consider when we come back with the individual lots.
Okay. I'll open up to the board for any other questions. Shirley, any comments, thoughts, questions?
No.
Brian?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Debbie?
No.
Sharon?
I was wondering about the fences. Well, it didn't look like there's any fence on Western, but there's going to be fencing on the other 2 streets. Is that the case?
I'm sorry, the fencing that's there is existing along Green Road. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, so I saw fencing there, and then I also saw it on Independence as well. So that's just existing. It's not like you guys are putting in a fence.
No, those are existing fences. No new fencing is proposed. I just mentioned that was an option for a homeowner if they felt the need for more privacy in the backyard.
Anything else, Sharon?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Kenyatta, anything? Any thoughts?
Nothing. Time.
All right. I mean, looking at this kind of, again, what I mentioned before, and like you said, we'll get a second crack at this. When we come back, having, and you called it out, the barrenness between, I think, lot 2 and some of the other lots where, there's a direct line of sight. And maybe it's not trees, and I don't think it's gigantic arborvitaes either, but something to break that up a little bit would probably help. That would be my suggestion when you come back with those individual lots. We'll take
Absolutely, and what I would like to do is we'll take another look at it, actually, because we didn't locate trees that are less than 8 inches, and there may be quite a few that would screen those, but they're not going to show up here.
That's fair. Yep. All right. We'll open it up to the public. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? If so, please unmute yourself and state your name. Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. Do we have a motion to accept the application as presented?
I'll accept it. Kenyatta.
I'll second it.
And Debbie, the second. I will do a roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Yana. Yana.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. You're all
Thanks
set.
very much.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Up next, we've got the salon at Depot Square sign plan.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, good. So I'm Robin from Foley Signs. I'm representing the salon at Depot Square. What they'd like to do is the signage over the door. We would start with a white panel that would have a matte finish, and then be putting dimensional letters that say, as pictured, the salon at Depot Square. The word salon would then be with a very high gloss black, so creating kind of a stylish black and white motif, and would be stud mounted to that area, and have a pretty good thickness, about 3/4 of an inch for the word salon to give it some dimension. And that's all. They just wanted kind of a clean, classic look.
Shirley, any questions or comments? You're on mute. You're on mute, Shirley.
Sorry. I was wondering about the matching signs in the windows.
Those signs are temporary. Those are in the photograph. I should have airbrushed them out. They will be removed once the permanent signage is put in.
All right, thank you.
Brian?
No, no questions. I think it looks good with the awnings.
Joe?
No questions.
Debbie?
No, I love it, Robin. Really nice and sleek. Looks nice.
Thank you.
Sharon?
No, no questions. I think the whole building looks great, the whole store.
And Kenyatta? Any questions?
No questions.
All right. As I look at this picture longer and longer, Robin, I do have one question. Are you going to keep the barber pole?
The barber pole is existing. I don't know the answer to that. I wish I could make it black and white.
That would be a nice touch, actually.
Right?
All
So
right.
maybe we'll look at it and see if that can be done.
All right. Okay, well, let's open up to the public. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? If so, please unmute yourself and state your name. Hearing none and seeing none, public portion is closed. I will make a motion to approve the sign as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is that you, Debbie?
Yep.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
and Kenyatta.
Yes.
All right, you're all set with that one. And up next, you're still with us around awnings.
Yes. So these are the awnings accompanying the sign plan. Black and white, once again, color styles, and keep it simple, open sides, shed style awning, basically as pictured.
Think it looks good. I don't have any questions. Shirley,
No questions.
Brian,
No questions.
Joe,
No.
Debbie,
No.
Sharon,
No.
Kenyatta.
No questions.
All right. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? If so, please unmute yourself and state your name. Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. We have a motion to approve as presented.
I will make the motion to presented.
All right, Shirley made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll
I'll second the
second.
motion.
Brian seconded. Roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Yana.
Yes.
All right. You're all set. Thanks, Robin. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Nay.
Bye.
All right. Up next is 700 Bradley Hill. Who will be presenting for them tonight?
Good evening, Chair Dunnigan and members of the ACABOR. My name is Morgan Stanley. I'm an associate with the law firm of McCullough, Goldberger and Stout. And I'm joined this evening by Nicole Vasquez of Onyx Equities and Brian DeBarbery of DeBarbery Architects. We're before your board this evening to present the next two consecutive applications. Specifically, we're here this evening to present proposed architectural improvements for 700 Bradley Hill Road. As some background, we were referred to your board by the planning board, which granted preliminary site plan approval and issued a negative declaration on November 12th, 2020. At that time, the planning board also referred this application to the ZBA for performance standards review, which were scheduled to appear before on January 6th. And following review of the ACABOR and the zoning board, the applications will return to the planning board for final site plan approval. So accordingly, this evening, we're requesting that the ACABOR approve our proposed architectural improvements at the property. And with that, I'd like to hand off to Nicole to present those improvements.
Thank you, Morgan. Good evening, members of the board. I do have a short presentation. If you can share screen sharing rights, I would appreciate that.
You got it.
Okay. Morgan introduced the application. Again, we're here for a site plan and architectural review of proposed changes to both 700 and 800 Bradley Hill Road. The site plan application is part of an approval for United Parcel Service, who will be occupying space at 700 Bradley Hill Road and occupying a portion of the parking lot at 800 Bradley Hill Road. The changes primarily consist of parking lot restriping, some curb changes, as well as modifications to existing loading dock doors. You heard from Morgan before me, and we are also joined tonight by Franz Lockey from SESI Consulting, our civil engineer, and our architectural firm, our consultant is James DeBarbery from DeBarbery Architects. Again, the two buildings in question are within the Hudson Crossings Industrial Park. One is 700 Bradley Hill Road, and the second is 800 Bradley Hill Road. As you can see by this aerial, both buildings are insulated within an industrial park surrounded by other industrial buildings. They do not abut any residential neighborhoods, and in fact, they're significantly far away, the nearest being across the railroad tracks about 400 feet from the building question. First up on the agenda is 700 Bradley Hill Road. The building is currently occupied by Demand Motorsports, and United Parcel Service will occupy the balance of the building. I point this out because Demand has their own parking lot and we're not proposing any changes to that parking lot. The building is on the corner of Bradley Corporate Drive and Bradley Hill Road, both of which are private roadways. The second building is 800 Bradley Hill Road, and as you will see later on in the presentation, all we're proposing here are changes to the parking lot. I mentioned before that 800 is part of this application because the tenant at 700, United Parcel Service, will need to occupy a portion of the parking lot that belongs to 800, and that is the area outlined here in gray.
So just one thing, when we get to 800, I'm gonna ask you to go through that again, because this is only specifically looking at 700 now.
Sure. Yep, not a problem. Here you see the changes we're proposing, again, primarily restriping of the parking lot. As you can see in this photo, there is no restriping, there's no striping in place, no striping pattern. So that is one of the main changes we're proposing with the application. There are existing loading dock doors on the southern elevation of the building. Those will remain. All we're proposing to do is to replace those doors with new doors and slightly enlarging them by about a foot. Together with the parking lot reconfigurations and the striping, we are proposing to remove a surface-mounted fuel tank, removal of a site access gate that's in place in order to add parking in its location. We're also proposing to remove a portion of a side rail extension that runs across Bradley Hill roadway, and again, the enlargement of the existing loading dock doors. This is the—
Before you go further, flip back to that slide for me. Which of those 5 things are happening at 700 versus 800? Because I believe like the fuel surface tanks are 800 only, right?
That's true. That's correct. So the items on this page that are for 700 Bradley are the minor curb reconfigurations and restriping, the removal of one of these site access gates, part of the side rail that's running across Bradley Hill Road is on 700 Bradley's property, and the replacement of the existing loading dock doors also relates to 700 Bradley.
Okay, thank you.
I'll skip over that. So this is the access gate that we're proposing to remove, and parking spaces will go in its location. This is the side rail spur that will be removed. It currently crosses Bradley Hill Road, and that extension will be removed. These are the existing loading dock doors. Again, we're replacing the doors and slightly enlarging the openings. They're currently 8 by 10 doors, will be increased to 9 by 10 doors. On the western elevation, we aren't proposing any changes to the facade, but we are proposing changes at grade with the parking lot. As you can see in this photo here, so this is the western elevation. These 2 overhead doors will remain. All we're proposing to do is changing the layout of the parking and adding some pervious landscaping in that area. On the northern elevation, we're proposing to close up 2 existing loading dock doors. They will be infilled and painted to match the balance of the building. There is a driving door that's existing that was previously infilled. We're going to paint that to match the balance of the building, and we will remove the ramp that leads up to it in order to add parking in its place. And this is what the condition would look like once we make the changes we're proposing.
Looks good.
That's it. Any questions?
The doors that are existing, so if you flip back just to the one where you talked about how you're going to smooth out the concrete there and add some landscaping, are you guys going to paint those doors, or are they going to do anything about the condition of them? And are the doors that you guys, I believe, are adding in some places, are they going to be painted to match?
So these 2 doors will remain. The tenant will likely replace them if necessary once they move in. We've seen is that some of them replace them with like high-speed doors. We're not proposing to change them at this time. And the loading dock doors, they will basically what's existing. I think they're white metal doors, similar to what's across the roadway at 600 Bradley, which we just replaced.
Okay. All right. Questions, Shirley? Questions, comments?
No, thank you.
Brian,
No, thank you.
Joe,
No, thank you.
Debbie,
No.
Karen,
No.
Kenyatta.
No.
All right. We'll open up to public comment. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? If so, please unmute yourself and state your name. Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. Do we have a motion to accept the application as presented?
I'll make a motion.
We've
I'll
got Sharon.
second.
Joe seconds. We'll do a roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Yada?
Yes.
All right. All right, you're all set on 700. Let's go back and let's take us through 800.
Sure. So again, we are presenting a site plan application for 800 Bradley Hill Road, located within Hudson Crossing Industrial Park. And I'll flip through here. The changes again, primarily restriping of the parking lot. As shown in this slide. The only difference between this and the last application presented is that we are proposing to remove an existing above-ground fuel tank, and we will be including adding parking spaces in its location. There is a site access gate that meets the one on 700 Bradley on the opposite side of this picture, which we did not photograph, but we're proposing to remove the site access gate as well. And the portion of the extension that runs into 800 Bradley will be removed as well. That is all for 800 Bradley.
I don't have any questions on this. Shirley, any questions, comments? Brian?
No.
Joe?
No.
Debbie?
No.
Sharon?
No.
Yada?
No.
Right. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this application? If so, please unmute your line and state your name. Hearing none, seeing none, public portion is closed. Do we have a motion to approve as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve, Brian.
And I will second. We'll do a roll call vote. Myself, yes. Shirley?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Yada?
Yes.
All right, you guys are all set. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks.
All right, that was our last application of the evening. What do we have just before we depart? The governor extended all remote meetings until the 1st. Keep me honest, Liz. So until then, we'll keep it as remote for now. You know, it's doesn't seem to get any better. You know, so there's that. The one thing we did talk about, but I didn't see it on the agenda, was just an executive session to talk through some things. With that not being on the agenda, Cheryl, do we have to postpone it and schedule it or no? You're on mute. You're on mute. Cheryl, you're on mute.
Okay, yeah, you have to
postpone it. I wasn't aware that you wanted it on the executive session. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. The next meeting is the 7th of January. Is everybody okay with putting that on the agenda for the 7th of January? Anybody not gonna be able to make it? Okay, so let's put that there and we'll have that discussion then. Before we leave, anything anybody else wants to bring up, discuss, and otherwise we'll adjourn. All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Do you have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Or yes?